Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Kali Flame of Samsara season 1 episode 8. Y'all, sadly Kamal literally acted like a duck with his tail between its legs, and he was like, I have to fold and I have to allow the marriage to happen. Because apparently, considering the fact that Kamal is our legal guardian after our brother Kairas died, I assume it's a custom in India, or maybe just in the dozen there, that the husband needs to ask the father for the daughter's hand. And so he had to discuss the arrangements for the marriage with Kamal. And I still believe that it was mostly Vidya that kind of pressured him into agreeing, because of the fact that this man is so in love with us at this point. He would have never agreed, but this time he literally couldn't do anything but to agree with it, even if he doesn't actually agree with it. Because, it was said by the head of the families of the dozen, so it's not like he actually had a choice. So we're actually engaged now with this man. So let's see what happens. What I do like is the giant tiger that was gifted to us by our future husband. And one of my comments, I'm not sure if it was Noah that said it or if it was Angelic Samira that said that I would love the present. I'm not sure, but I will be mentioning these two because I had a huge ass conversation with these two in my comment section. So let's see what this episode is gonna be like. I'm 1000% sure that we're gonna be completely devastated. And I just want to see Ram be jealous AF, because Ram and Christian are like my two faves as of right now. And poor Saraswati, I did her dirty. I did her dirty. But to be quite honest, like, some of the choices weren't even meant to be romantic ones on purpose. Like, I didn't know they were romantic options. Like I said, I'm not going with walkthroughs. Not yet, at least. I think the comment section will have to do a little more convincing, I would have to say. I just have the feeling the walkthroughs take the fun out of everything. But I have the feeling that I will start using walkthroughs in order to save all of us the trouble and the pain of having to wait for the next update. But anyways, a deal is synonymous with marriage. Episode 8, Alive for Alive. She's like, you took my brother, I take yours. Damn. Devi still, suddenly she felt like a complete fool. Did Kamal really decide to go ahead with the engagement behind her back, even if he knew how much she despised the simple idea of it? Like I said, it's not like he actually had a choice. I think this order comes from above, girl. We knew that Vidya and Raj, as in the head of the DOOBAY family, was completely for it. I don't think that he had a say in this, sweetie. Besides, they all said that we were the perfect candidate, so I don't think that they would have allowed someone else to be his future wife. They would have tried to persuade him to get someone else to get you. It was one thing to play along with the British Lord at the reception to impress the guests, to clearly show how strong and successful the new Sharma heiress was. But to actually agree to consider the proposal? Like I said, it's not like you have a choice, girl. Yeah, she ain't having shit no more. Did she have anyone truly on her side, even amongst those closest to her? Or was everyone just playing by their own rules? Now, from one side, I understand why she's like, I don't want to. Like, considering what happened with Kairas and she didn't actually take the time to process his death. She's still in the 5 stages of grief. She's still at... I wouldn't say she's still at denial, which is the first stage. She's in the second stage. For someone that has had multiple moments of 5 stages of grief because of my psychological pain in the past, I think that the roles are reversed. A lot of people say first comes sadness and then anger. But in my eyes, the thing that feels most present after denial is anger. When you start crying, it's when you literally are that at your wit's ends with your power with your psychological strength that you can't do anything but to accept that this horrible thing happened. And that's when you start crying, and that's when you slowly then swift into acceptance. Now she thinks everyone is against her because they agree with the marriage. Now, I don't know how I would feel if I would be in Devi's shoes, but at the other side, she doesn't have a choice. Like, I wish I could use like a hammer and hammer it into her brain. She doesn't have a choice. She makes part of the third most powerful family of the Dozen. I don't know how she feels about it, but considering the fact that I always went with legacy, she would have to feel proud to could be capable to put a stop to this. Like, she doesn't see the full picture, which shows to me already that she's not wise. She's a little more mature, but she's not wise. Why am I saying she's not wise? Because the family said on multiple damn occasions that they're not happy with it. And the fact that they held that small gathering where they all revealed that Christian only wanted to marry Davy was because they wanted to have that small conversation about what was going to happen. She wants it to be a short marriage. So yes, even though it would mean that she has to marry someone she doesn't like, it does not mean that it will be like that forever. Like, they have an agenda of their own. They don't plan to actually have her with the Lord forever. They have an agenda of their own, and she doesn't see it. She sees that she's marrying this man and it's over for her life completely, or she just doesn't want to marry him because she blames him. Now, I can understand her anger, but she doesn't see the full picture. Like, she doesn't marry him because there is love there, or because this is like some forced thing. In a specific certain sense, of course, it's an arranged marriage, so it is a forced thing, but this isn't meant to be like on a long-term thing. Like, this is supposed to help, especially the Dozen, of course, to get back on track. It would help the Sharma family because he's investing in the mines, and she technically would have, in a certain sense, control over the Dozen, considering the fact she is the inside spy. And if she doesn't say shit to them, they don't know shit. And she would have respect in front of the British country. So she has to see the full picture here. She has the feeling that the entire world is against her because they all agree. Bitch, see the full picture. Was Kamal even her friend at all? Look! Lord de Clare got up from his seat. Diana hurried to pick up his cape as he took it off. Path of passion. Livy tried to hold herself back. She wanted to lose her temper and point her finger at everyone who had been involved in that conspiracy behind her back. She wanted to tell de Clare to take his proposal and get lost and land so far away that no one had even heard their name before. And then she wanted to yell Vidya Bazu everything that she thought about her, but instead she took a deep breath in and then one out. A polite smile appeared on her lips, but her eyes were burning with fury. This is such an interesting turn of events, and yet again I seem to be the last one to have been informed. Christian could clearly see that barely repressed rage behind her words, but Davia wasn't really trying to hide it. She wanted him to know that she wasn't happy and that her consent was being forced out of her. If this engagement is agreed upon, will I have a choice on the matter? Christian frowned.
Will you have any choice? I'm not fond of what that phrasing implies. I've absolutely no desire to force you. It would be my pleasure, however, to provide you with reasons to happily accept.
Christian, I can't with this man.
What can I offer you?
Christian sat back, crossing his legs. Davy stood before him, feeling like a plate of rasgulla on the display table. How appetizing and beautiful she was. Did the Lord want to take her home? As Arat and the servants were busy dealing with the tiger, Sara, Radha, and Amrita were whispering to each other. Kamal and Vidya just stood nearby, silently watching. They seemed in no hurry to take part in the conversation and weren't paying any attention to Anil Sharma. Like, this bitch could shove it.
I'm sure you will definitely have something to offer.
Despite the situation, Davy started to feel a thrill of excitement. She suddenly realized that the British Lord hadn't given her a tiger just to impress her. He knew very well how significant Davia's role in society was, and that was why he cared. It seems like everyone in the dozen has forgotten about it. My opinion also matters, at least because I'm the head of the Sharma family. I'll have to remind them. Devi clasped her hands behind her back. She threw an irritated glance at Christian and then looked at everyone else in the same way. Like, she needs to learn time and place. She reminds me of Radha back in the day, like 5 years ago in the temple, when Raj was reciting the Tantra. Time and place, girl. She's doing all of this. She will seem like an annoying brat. Like, you need to know time and place. Of course, he would have found out about her temper sooner or later. But time and place, bitch. If you're technically being forced into this, don't let your enemy see you breaking. Vidya, Kamal, Anil. Mrs. Bazoo noticed the determination in her gaze and grinned.
Are you about to let your feelings known, Devi?
Am I even allowed to? Or would you prefer me to stay silent?
Freedom. I would prefer that.
See? She prefers that we remain silent.
But I would prefer to listen.
Woohoo. He's like, I want to hear what she has to say. Vidya turned away and rolled her eyes. Shut up, bitch. When she caught Kamal's gaze, the woman nodded her head toward Devi. Hi, how's it going? Like, this is just like, when someone screws you over, y'all, you enjoy when they squirm. That's like something I learned. Like when a bitch finally gets a taste of her own medicine and she gets trapped in a situation that makes her look like the stupid one while she keeps on trying to remind you where your place is at. When they find themselves in the same situation that they put you in, you enjoy it with all your heart. You do not feel any sympathy. You feel nothing. You just feel pure enjoyment. And that's what I feel right now. Yes, bitch, shut the fuck up. Calm her down. It's not my responsibility. This engagement process has been nothing but a surprise after the other for me. I always imagined myself as an equal partner in any possible alliance, someone whose opinion would be valued, but it seems like there is someone who thinks differently. Devi sighed, lowering her hand to the floral arrangement on a nearby table. She caressed the petals as if admiring them. Then her malashid eyes narrowed unkindly. Well, they really shouldn't. After all, I also love to come up with a few good surprises of my own. How lucky that my current position and resources allow me to present them with all the appropriate grandiosity. Legacy.
We do know how you like to take risks.
What Devi had just made clear through her barely veiled words was that if the leaders of the dozen didn't start including her in their plan, she wasn't going to include them in hers. Period. Like, this is kind of what I said, like, where I said she needs to be capable to see the full picture. She doesn't, but I like what she implied here. I said that if she agrees to become Christian's wife, then the dozen, in general, so even the heads of the dozen, would be dependent on her. Like, what do they want to do? Do they want to torture her to get answers out of her? Like, what do they want to do? They will be dependent on her. So if she doesn't let them in on, I don't know, if she plans on killing Christian the first night of their marriage, how will they know? They don't know. If it doesn't go public, they wouldn't know shit. So they need to be capable to place themselves well. Not just her. And her plans promise to be impressive. Oh, yeah. I could easily do what Vidya and Raj want me to. Marry Lord de Clare. And then turn my advantage against them. Just for the sake of my revenge. I'm no one's puppet anymore, period. You let them all know. Like, you want me to marry them, period. You implied that you need to be taken seriously. No, she didn't really imply that she needs to be taken seriously. She said that if they don't place themselves well with her, she would be planning a huge ass drama. And she would do something that none of them would agree on. Radha intervened.
This isn't a matter that will be resolved in one day, isn't it? Every engagement is different. Sometimes everything can be done very quickly. All sorts of circumstances can arise, Radha. But in this case, this will take far more than one day. There are several questions that need to be resolved on both sides. For example, the matter of the massacre 5 years ago. It would be extremely difficult to negotiate an alliance as important as this one when there's an issue of such significance contention between us.
What do you suggest, Mrs. Basu? While you negotiate the terms of the engagement, discuss the dowry and everything else, our side will deal with the matter of what happened at the mountain residence. We want to know who did it, why, and how. Will you offer your assistance? Mrs. Pezzo was trying to get the upper hand from the very first moment of her plan getting in motion, and without hurting her reputation, she had made a concession agreeing to the engagement. But before that could happen, she demanded proof of the Lord's innocence. She wanted to find those responsible without getting her hands dirty. I mean, it's what I would assume she would do. I hope you understand my intentions, Lord de Clare. We can possibly entrust one of the most important heiresses in the dozen to the hands of a murderer. She's like, I'm laying the cards on the table. Were you involved, yes or no? High dignity, let's go!
Are you accusing me of being a murderer?
Of course not. But should anyone in your immediate circle be responsible for such crimes, we would like to find them and punish them. They will remain as the head of the Sharma family. If she were to die at the hands of one of your people, not only will the engagement end, but also our truce. Okay. I have respect for Vidya right now. Okay. She's like, yes, she sadly is a necessary evil, but don't think that you will be there all by yourself. Like, we will have your back. If something should happen to you, when we all agreed that you could be the wife of the British Lord, there will be war. Like, she didn't just say it's the end of the engagement. It's the end of the truce. As in, we are willing to fight. We're willing to go into war with you if something should happen to Devi. Okay. Miss Pezzo is standing up for me. I have respect for her. Vidya hasn't forgotten that you risked your life to save her from a bullet. She better not forget. She better not forget. She better not forget. We were there for her, so she better be there for us. Yes, shut up, Anil. Mr. Sharma didn't like hearing those words. If Vidya was on his niece's side, that significantly changed the situation. She's on my side, bitch. Back off. This is helpful, but won't solve the problem.
I will assist you in your investigation. I'll provide you with access to the places you need and to the people you ask for. I will be in charge of this.
My brother, Mr. Basu.
Huh? She has a brother? Okay.
I'll send my people to bring him here. It will only take a few days. Uncle?
Oh, she doesn't like the uncle? Oh, what's wrong? Doran! Oh! My comment section was warning me about Doran. Okay, Doran. Shock me.
Will Doran be the one responsible for this? You know him well, Kamal. He's been itching to solve this. I barely held him back before. Right now everything is in perfect order in Klipagrami, so he's more needed here. While the older family heads were talking, Devi approached her friends. She glanced at them discreetly and whispered, "Who is Doran Basu? Should I have heard of him?" Saraswati was the first to speak. His mother's younger brother. He manages our affairs in Klipagrami, which is where the Basu family comes from. You might not have heard much about him, because he's mostly known for what he did in the last uprising. He led people and fought on the front lines. That was the same conflict in which both of our father and your parents died. Oh, wow. Okay, so our parents died while that uprising. Okay. Kamal also fought alongside him. Back then, the two of them didn't have a good reputation in the dozen. They were thought of an immature, frivolous, with nothing but war and mischief on their minds. Doran and Kamal were just as bad as each other. Mother used to say that they were like two wild dogs left off the leash, but they both grew up and got wiser, right? Never say never. They both grew up and got wiser. The sun slowly started to dip below the horizon. The welcome dinner forgotten, everyone got ready to return to their homes. As expected of her, Devi escorted her guests to the door. She couldn't wait to be done with all the formalities to go find her tiger and get acquainted with him. What a treasure she had unexpectedly received. Devi felt a mix of excitement and joy as she thought about her new pet. We're Jasmine now. Everyone who belonged to the Dozen walked ahead. Davy knew that Kamal wasn't going to spend the night there. For reasons only he knew, he had been avoiding her as of late, but also it was obvious they were going to have a fight if he stayed. I'll calm down on my own first, and then I'll ask him all my questions. He'll soon have to come back here for work reasons anyway, so that will be my chance to talk to him. The future bride and groom walked side by side. Christian gently grazed Davy's hand, his finger sliding up to her wrist. Sir? His gesture was very delicate. Aww. Like, if he actually had nothing to do with this, I kind of feel bad that we picture him out to be the bad guy. But on the other side, this literally feels like a forced arrangement. Like, Davy never agreed to be on the line to be married off. Like, it's not okay that he only put her name on the letter. He's like, I want Davy, no one else, so let me talk to her legal guardian. His gesture was very delicate, but Davy's cheeks flushed as she felt his cool skin on hers.
Can we slow down for a moment?
Yank your arm back. I think that's a little extreme. Slow down. Have you finally decided to talk to me? I mean, he was willing to talk to you. It's more like that you were so in over your head with your rage that you didn't want to listen to him. Slow down. Davia slowed her pace, looking at the Lord with interest. What's the matter, Lord de Clare? Legacy. Christian grinned without taking his eyes off her. He knew she wasn't happy that he had discussed everything behind her back.
I simply didn't want to run the risk of being rejected even before I had the chance to make my offer. That's why I didn't approach you directly.
And what makes you think that you can no longer be rejected? Were you hoping that Kamal was going to promptly give me away?
If we are to speak honestly, I'm sure we both understand that a man in my position would have the capability to choose any woman in the dozen.
And why didn't you choose any of them?
But forcing you into this is not part of my plan. I'm only interested in your willing consent. You can't strong-arm someone into a peaceful union.
True. The man took a small step toward Davy. As a spontaneous reaction, she immediately glanced around the courtyard, searching for Arad. Oh gosh, she is so scared.
You don't need to be concerned. I won't touch you.
I don't even think that that's it. Like, he only shows restraint. Like, he only delicately touched her arm. Like, this isn't like in Heaven's Secret Requiem, where the general literally yanked our arm in the first episode, and he was like, come on now. Like, he touched her arm delicately, but because of the fact that she can't move past the fact that she thinks that the British were involved in this, she feels insanely frightened by the British. Just knowing that he is the British Lord is enough for her. That she's insanely scared and backed into a corner. Christian looked at her seriously, his cold blue eyes devoid of even the smallest trace of mischief. The shadows craving his face made it clear how much the British Lord worked and how little he rested. He was much taller than her, so he tried to keep an appropriate distance so as not to embarrass her or make her feel threatened by his imposing figure.
You categorically rejected my proposal 5 years ago. Will you reject me this time too?
I rejected you? I was never offered anything.
How's that possible? Everything was in my letter. I've been thinking about it ever since our first meeting, and I've never even considered anyone else.
Excuse you? So 5 years ago, the only name on the letter was us? But you listed several names in your letter to Vidya and Raj, didn't you? The Lord was genuinely surprised. Only our name was on the list? Only our name was on the list! So back in the day, he also knew that we were... he knew that we were Devi Sharma and from the third most influential family of the Dozen. He knew that, and he specifically asked for us. Yet they were willing to let Rati be married off, even though he didn't want her. No wonder that he didn't feel any sympathy. Sorry for picturing him as a horrible human being, y'all, but he didn't want Rati. He specifically wanted just us.
No, I wrote that I wanted to marry you specifically. However, also added that if for any reason that wasn't going to be possible, I was going to consider other options or postpone the engagement. When I received the news that my bride had been killed in an attack, I must confess, For a while I believed that they were speaking about you.
Oh, wow. Huh? Was I supposed to be the one promised to him that day? Did Kamal spare me that fate when he threatened Raj in the hallway? Okay, can I just ounce my thoughts about this real quick? If this is true, and he specifically wanted us, when Kamal threatened Raj and was like, my sister and Devi are off the list or I'll expose you, and Raj made that happen and got us off the list, and Rati was the one being picked, and she died at the attack, was that maybe people from the British colony that didn't want a truce between India and England? Like, we remember that they were speaking in English, so they had to be from the British colony. He wanted us. And considering the fact that Rati was chosen, and this probably also was the name that I would assume that the British colony or the British lord in general, he knew that, I don't know, that there was Devi Sharma and she had a brother Kairas Sharma. Maybe he even had pictures. I'm not sure. So that he could like choose a bride. So maybe the people that actually shot Rati in the head believed that she was us. Because they knew what Kairas looked like. And from the back of the head, they all had dark hair. So when Rati was running towards Kairas and Kairas was trying to save her, Rati being shot in the head and then Kairas too. Maybe they thought that meant the end. Like maybe they thought that Rati was us. And considering the fact that maybe they were close, as in the people that attacked back then, they were close to the British lord, as in Christian, and they knew that he wanted to marry Devi specifically, maybe they thought that if they kill us, that means that there would be no truce between England and India. So they like wanted to prevent for there to be a truce. And that's why they thought that if they kill the bride that Christian chose for himself, then there wouldn't even be a single thought about him wanting to try a truce again. So maybe, y'all, if that's true, and my thoughts of this too, we were saved because Raj accepted the threatening from Kamal. And what if that choice also saved my life? What if Rati's death wasn't accidental? She has my same thoughts, okay? So it's not just me. Maybe the people that were there only intended on killing us because literally Christian just said it. Only us. He wanted us specifically. So he knew who it was. And he was like, if I kill the one that the Lord actually wants, then maybe he won't think about trying an alliance again. We were told that the Lord had selected several names, but it turns out I was the only ones he specifically chose. And he didn't even want to get married if I refused. See? He didn't plan that. It sounds like someone is playing with me, or with both of us.
I think it's rather clear what's going on.
He's also having the thoughts in his head?
Marrying me would be very adventurous to you. And yet a series of regrettable accidents keep preventing me from proposing to you properly, and this isn't the first time this has happened. First, the contents of my letter aren't conveyed in full, and then the attack happens. Now your uncle's sudden return. You have been working to become the head of your family for 5 years, so why is he only showing himself now?
That's like my question. Where has this bitch been that he actually thinks he can just come in and take our place?
He could have claimed his place.
That! Where has this bitch been?
He could have claimed his place a long time ago. If that's what he wanted, it would have been easier to dispose of you while you were still at the beginning of your studies. But no. He arrives as you have almost achieved your objective. It appears to me that someone is extremely opposed to our union. It must be going against the interests somehow. Do you see what I mean?
This union not happening would go against your interests. Surely you aren't marrying me because you're madly in love with me. From one side, yes, but to be quite honest, like I would be asking the thing below. You aren't marrying me because you're madly in love with me. It's rather apparent that you are pursuing your own objective. But you at least have freedom over yourself and your choices. What do I have?
What do you want? Freedom, security, prosperity. It's in my power to give you all that and more.
Your connections and money won't give me one thing. Love, Lord declare. Freedom.
Love.
Love. She wants love. She wants to marry someone that loves her, and she wants to love them. If there isn't real love there, she doesn't like it. This is like the first freedom choice that I got, I think. Christian blinked, surprised, and furrowed his brows as if he didn't quite hear what she said. That seemed to be the last thing he expected from her. He nodded thoughtfully and considered, like the reason that people are against arranged marriages, first off, is fear, because they don't know the partner. And in a lot of countries, especially like in, I don't know, India, they're married off at a young age. They don't have any idea who that is. Like, I don't know if my future husband would be a serial killer. How would I know? I'm being married off? I didn't get the chance to get to know that guy. They just are married off. And the other thing that they don't like is that they're being married off. And a lot of women have no saying in some countries. They have no saying in anything. There are countries where men believe that women only belong in the kitchen. And that would be stripping the woman of her free will and of her freedom. Women want to be married to someone as in having equal rights to their partner, and they want love. That's why people get married in the first place. They want love. And if you can give me love, then sorry for having doubts. Sorry for not being at the same pace as you, sir.
Love. Right, I hadn't thought of that.
Does it sound strange?
No, but very few marriages can offer you the love you speak of. Often the two matters happen to be entirely separate.
Like Russian Rada, or... Do I even know anyone who's in a genuinely happy marriage? And yet you can't give me the thing I want the most.
I'll think of a way to correct this oversight.
Are you sure about that? When Christian crouched down to reach a delicate purple plumeria, Davy stared at his hand. His thin long fingers wrapped around the flower stem, and his vein drew gentle patterns across his skin. Isn't that the flower that he gave us in episode 2? If it is, I'll scream. If it is, I'll scream. Christian probably knew how to play the piano and had mastered the art of combat and many other things. They didn't pluck the flower, but just caressed its petals. He then looked up at Davy, his gaze direct, almost defiant.
The ending of the story is in our hands. Mine and yours.
I respect this man. Like, this man is making my heart chatter. Because I have like this strong ass attraction and love for Ram. But this man can make my heart flutter too. Like, this is horrible. Because I love that he keeps on emphasizing is he's like, this story can be determined by two people, not just me. The both of us. Like, you have a say in this. He keeps on making it clear and obvious that he's like, you can choose. You will always have a choice. I will not force you into this. I love that he keeps on emphasizing it. Because maybe he's like, that's like also a fear of her. That I would be like oppressing her once she agrees to marry me. No, this is an equal beneficial agreement. The both of us will get something positive out of this. Not just me and not just you, the both of us. We both have something out of this. We're both equal here. I'm not the only one here. Like, this is something for the both of us. He keeps on emphasizing that she will always have a choice. I love him. This choice will either increase Christian's interest in you or completely extinguish it. Damn! Damn! He did just make my heart flutter. Like, I had to agree. I have to agree. Like, this man did make my heart flutter. And I don't know how it would work out if we marry him. But right now, it's not like we have a chance. So, if we go and, like, extinguish the love he has for us, or, like, the interest he has in us, it's not going to change anything that we get married. Just because we get married, which is an alliance between the two countries, doesn't mean that there's like love there. But he made my heart flutter. I have to admit, like, I have respect for him. I like his view of things. Like, of course, he thinks with his own agenda, but he doesn't mean to contradict you. He knows what he wants and he goes for it, but he doesn't plan to force you into this. He respects you and he appreciates your input. He doesn't like silence you like we see sometimes in movies where they're like, shut up, wife, you know? Like, no, he appreciates you. He wants to know your opinion and he tries even to change your view of him. But if he shouldn't be capable to do that, he doesn't force you into anything. I respect that view and I respect a man like this. A man like this won't be capable to make me wet in the first period, but there could be a very strong love there with time, of course. So like, I just love a confident ass man. Like, I don't think I have to say it every single episode. What are my likings about a man? You all know by now. So, and only in our hands. You think too highly of yourself? I don't think so. And only in our hands. Both of us were beneficial. We both have something to say here. She smiled, but Lord de Clare had no idea what truly hid behind that smile. The story will only end for you, Governor General, and very soon. Damn. There's some tension between the two of you. You are both intrigued. Lord de Clare was crouched at Davy's feet, and yet his confidence made him the master of the situation. The setting sun cast a soft pink glow on his face. To be quite honest, if it should turn out that he had nothing to do with this, I hope that we can, like, even if it's a gem choice, make her literally shut up with those thoughts. Of course, there's like this hidden agenda, but right now he hasn't done anything. So, like, being a little bit cautious, of course, but not all this darkness, like, no, girl, it's been 5 years. Christian was young and very handsome. He got to his feet and Davy had to look up at him again. Crouched down or standing tall, the British lord was handsome from every angle. So shut those thoughts. Christian didn't immediately notice that Davy was staring at him. She pulled herself together. We seem to have fallen quite far behind the others, didn't we? Yeah, he noticed. His good manners didn't allow him to be happy at the sudden vulnerability of the beautiful Sharma here. Christian said hesitant.
Yes, we are indeed alone. Even your assistant is nowhere to be seen. If you feel uncomfortable without an escort, let's hurry to rejoin the others.
I don't see this an issue. Sorry. This is my house. I can go wherever I please. When Christian straightened himself up, he was happy to notice that Davy absorbed in their conversation and had stepped slightly closer to him. Either she did it without even realizing it, or she was pretending to be perfectly calm. He so wanted to see a new emotion on her face, so pulled back her mask a little to catch a glimpse of who she really was. The real Davya Sharma. If he had ever seen her before, the last time must have been back in that field. Back when Christian didn't have quite so much work and responsibilities, and neither did she.
I remember. You do what you want.
He outstretched his hand, and that gesture was enough to make her nervous. Me. Me. Christian's fingers still near her face. Davy didn't pull away, but she lowered her gaze warily.
Oh, you're still afraid of me after all.
So he notices too, like... She's afraid. She's scared.
I'm not afraid. I'm simply keeping my distance.
The feather-light touch with which he moved a lock of her hair away from her face sent a confusing shiver down her spine. It felt so exciting, being alone with the Claire in that quiet courtyard hidden from a view behind a column. Davya felt guilty, even though they were almost engaged. And yet they hardly knew anything about each other. Fate had brought them together again, but in new, more complicated and confusing circumstances. They no longer were simply a British aristocrat who had just moved to the country and a young heiress. They were meeting as the Governor General of Bengal and the head of one of the most influential families in India. Both had taken on enormous responsibilities, but the curiosity that they both inspired in each other hadn't faded but only grown. Davy allowed him to touch her, then stilled, as if rooted to the ground by his penetrating gaze. Then she smirked. You're afraid of me too, Christian. You don't know how to approach me. I have seen you talk to other people, and you're usually much more confident than you are right now. Well, he likes you. Do you genuinely like me? Her eyes sparkled amused. Christian noticed how her eyes often spoke of her emotions more than she did. She caught his fingers still hovering near her face and boldly held them as she lowered his hand. Or are you simply trying to make me fall in love with you so it will be easier to get me to agree to marry you?
That would be a very dishonorable ruse, don't you think?
His eyes up. Yeah, I had the feeling that he was gonna do something like this. Like, he did just say that he wasn't gonna force her into it. He liked how boldly Davia shared her thoughts. Same. There was something new and fresh in her exuberance, her sensuality and vivacity. She felt like a real person with real feelings. Someone who would always stand up for her, what was important to her. Everyone who gathered around Davy just seemed to be trying to get a piece of her, like hungry vultures. It was especially evident observing her from a distance. Christian declared despise that sort of calculation. He took another step toward Davy. He didn't bow or lower his head. He just spoke with measured nonchalance, while in return standing inexcusably close to her.
I wouldn't stoop so low. After all, we have an exceptionally serious business relationship, don't we?
That's right.
Better be careful not to be the one who falls in love with me.
Is this gonna be like this game, the one who falls in love first loses? Likewise, Lord de Clare, you should hold yourself back. Christian chuckled slightly as he stepped away. Christian likes the idea of you becoming his wife more and more. You're welcome. Christian and Davia walked into one of the main hallways. Before entering the common hall where everyone else was, Christian stopped Davy. He decided to make some final remarks.
There's no doubt that Vidya and your mentor have great influence over the docent. However, I can see that you are the kind of woman who is not afraid to speak for herself. Nothing will happen unless you want it to, but you must understand that I have a lot to offer.
Please speak your mind. Damn. Come on then, convince me. I'm starting to lose interest. Damn. To be quite honest, you all know that I'm like the cunning person, so I would have to go with the middle one. Davy smiled openly, clearly enjoying being in control of the situation.
Go on, my lord. You do know how to get what you want, don't you? Are you trying to provoke me into saying something unnecessary? How charming.
You want me, sir, so you better get used to all of my facade.
You won't spare any expense, won't you? What are you offering?
Passion. His eyes. He'd be rolling his eyes.
Something interesting I could get you. For example, the head of the one who betrayed you. Do you know that there's a rat hiding amongst the influential docent? The one who's responsible for the fire. You've long started to suspect that the one who's responsible doesn't hail from our side. He hides amongst his own. And this makes matters so much more complicated.
You've come prepared. Davy didn't even raise an eyebrow. Your priority, legacy. How do you know what we have started to suspect? This sentence doesn't make sense to me, but alright. Have you been asking lots of questions?
I'm simply sure of it. We didn't know anything about your secret residence until after the massacre had already taken place. Everything my people know, I know. That was not our doing. But you know what else I find interesting? There hasn't been a single wedding recently. I can see that you are not in a hurry to strengthen your alliance within the docent.
And beyond it as well.
You're afraid of betrayal. That's understandable. But you won't be able to keep stalling for much longer. Soon all agreements will begin to loosen their power. Engagements, alliances. The docent will cease to exist if you don't solve this issue. The current heads of the families hardly have any heirs. And how are children usually born? From marriages.
So you expect me to have children with you, doesn't it?
It's a simple deal. I found a traitor for you, and you agree to become my wife.
But what is it doing for you to have me as your wife? He literally just said it himself. How does the docent get heirs? Through marriages. And marriages imply him to have a child with them. So this literally is technically him saying the thing that he's getting out of this marriage is us bearing his child. That's me reading between the lines. Finding those responsible for the Himalayan fire was clearly impossible, otherwise the Dothan would have already done so. But the Claire had resources and connections that no one else had. Davy sighed reluctantly and agreed. Fine, but I'd be the first one you speak to. Mine. My brother died. She said it categorically with her usual straightforward tone. As soon as you know the name, you'll immediately tell me. Not Vidya, not Raj, not any of your people. And that includes Diana. And besides, we are the ones that are literally giving us up for the Dothan's benefit. So we are the ones calling the shots now. Not Vidya, not Raj, we don't care. They have to listen to our command now. Because if we do something wrong, then they're all gonna have to pay with their lives, technically. I would be going on like this. Because if you actually, like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing if we get married to Christian. But I'm imagining this as someone that doesn't have feelings for someone. And I'm being forced into this agreement just because of what the elders are saying. And I have to give up my life and not them. I'm calling the shots. I don't care if they think that this is me being unreasonable or if I'm being disrespectful. If I do a wrong move, they all have to pay with their lives, not just me, so they better keep themselves in line. Davy's tone became almost threatening as she stared into the Claire's eyes. My brother died that night, and my friend, your bride, did too. And I almost lost my life as well, if I hadn't been for her. She waved that thought off. It wasn't the right time to think about Ram. Ram saved her! But he did save her that night, leading her out of the residence by risking his own life. I want to be the first to know the truth, and the one to decide the fate of the traitor. Christian listened to the mistress of the house, and with each word she said, the corners of his lips curled up.
A reasonable condition. I agree. And I won't tell anyone where and how you obtained this information. I'll help you exact this long-awaited retribution. This will be my real wedding gift. The tiger was just an appetizer.
You'll know the traitor's name before everyone else. This is a significant advantage. Oh no! I have no idea what happened, y'all. I am so sorry. Now all he had left to do was just complete a simple task, finding the one who had been successfully covering their tracks for the past 5 years. Before going to sleep, Davy decided to go check on her tiger. Her tiger! It was such an unusual thought to have. He's our tiger now. And the common hall Davy's wedding gift was sprawled on the carpet. Oh my gosh.
Stretch out your neck. There, I'll scratch here too.
To the surprise of Miss Sharma, Arad, her assistant, was also sprawled out on the carpet right next to the animal. He was patting the big cat's paws and his back, and both seemed to be thoroughly enjoying themselves. As soon as he noticed her, Arad immediately jumped up and stopped smiling.
Miss Sharma,
what's wrong, sir? Look, you can do that. Are you having fun together? It seemed to have tamed him already. Noticing that his mistress wasn't angry, Arad relaxed. I feel bad for him. Like, this actually kind of seems like abuse. Considering the fact that they are scared that if their mistresses or their masters are mad at them, that they literally will die. Poor them. Arad relaxed. It was terrifying to listen to what other assistants had told him about their masters. Some were sent on endless errands, others were beaten for the slightest mistake. Arad couldn't complain.
It's very good. I didn't even notice how we ended up from the sofa to the floor. What are you going to call him?
Y'all, you know I have to do this in order to honor my man. Amrit. I have to honor my man. The animal wasn't dangerous. He was calm and friendly. Her main challenge wasn't taming him. It was winning his loyalty and trust and teaching him that he should only obey her and no one else.
Durga also had a tiger, remember? If you get angry, perhaps a trident will appear in your hands.
The religious image of the mother goddess Mahadevi had many different incarnations in Hinduism. One of them was the goddess Kali with her tongue sticking out, sitting on a lion. Everyone in the sect worshipped her. Another of her incarnations was the fierce goddess Durga, who held a trident in her hands while sitting on a tiger. Oh God. Davy decided to be honest with him, strict with him. I don't want to be strict, honest with him. She put her hand on the tiger's head and scratched behind his ear. Besides, if you guys want my opinion, I think you educate better with love and not with punishment. Like, you let know that you are the one in charge and you let them know that they can do everything they want with you. But you educate through love, not beatings. She put her hand on the tiger's head and scratched behind his ear. Will you come with me everywhere now? What a handsome, clever boy you are. Amrit looked at his new owner thoughtfully, allowing her to bury her slender fingers into his soft fur. I love to have a friend who can always understand my true feelings. Only animals can do that. Davy sat down and looked into his amber eyes. Amrit, I promise I'll try to make you the happiest tiger in the world. Aww. Judging by his look, he liked that promise. Aww. Arad smiled as he watched Amrit and Davy bonding. Sorry. He honestly believed he had been immensely lucky with his mistress. It was so much nicer to attend to her than to anyone else. Mr. Rai had not deceived him. That day, Ratan and Ram were waiting for Devi at the Kalighat. As she had been selected to be the bride, she was going to need advice from the wisest among them on what to do next. Besides, the Avatar of Order had called Devi to the temple personally to discuss her headaches. Everyone now knew about them. Great. Oh my gosh, how pretty. Oh wow. I feel like I like Storm better though. We're going there in style. Come on now. You all know I love red. Oh, wow. That's an... Ooh! I don't know. I love the decorations and the hair. But you all know I love this hair. I love curly hair. I have curly hair. Aishwarya walked into the bedroom and immediately started cleaning. Two maids carrying a new and clearly heavy chest followed her in. What is this? Those sent it to you. They are still dealing with the aftermath of the fire. You left many beautiful and expensive outfits back at the residence, remember? They want to compensate you for your losses, so they sent you fabrics and jewelry. Aishwarya began to put the gifts away and Devi watched her surprised. 2 new hairstyles have been added to your wardrobe. 2 new outfits have been added to your wardrobe. 2 new accessories have been added to your wardrobe. Okay. Devi laughed to herself. As the heirs of the Sharma family, her contribution to the Dosan's fund were among the largest. They are compensating me for my losses by spending my own money. How generous. Me. Hurry up if you want to make it to the afternoon service. You haven't shown yourself to the gods for a long time. You need to make sure they won't forget about you. Devi chose not to respond and slipped out of the room. Goodbye. The atmosphere in her house felt familiar. Some maids were busy cleaning the courtyard, while the gardeners were tending to the plants. Aishwarya, done sorting out the bedroom, was giving orders to the other maids. The tall figure of her assistant appeared into view. Good morning, Miss Sharma. Following Arad, Amrit also trotted along. The tiger studied his surroundings carefully, sniffing every corner. He didn't seem to find people any more interesting than furniture. Those who lived in the house were afraid of him and tried to avoid him, but still couldn't help but stare at him cautiously when he passed by. That's what happens. Like, try me and he will attack. The news that the young Miss Sharma had a real tiger living in her house had quickly spread among the nobility. People's eyes lit up with curiosity during those conversations, and everyone wanted to visit the Sharma residence almost as if it were a museum. As Amrit approached, Devi held out her hand to him. The tiger happily pressed his wet nose into her palm, looking at her. Aww. Devi liked that Amrit was gradually getting used to his new home. When I do my errands in the morning, he follows me around. Maybe he wants to help. He's just waiting for you to introduce him to everyone. He's way more insolent with me than he is with you. My friend, stop pretending. Ada playfully scratched the tiger's ear and the animal gave him a mischievous glance in response. Oh, I can't. The assistant looked at Davy.
You asked me to let you know when Mr. Rai arrived. He is in the library now. Should I prepare the horses for your visit to the Calicut while you talk?
Yes, please. Isn't there a service going on right now? Send someone to the temple. Let Saraswati know that I want to see her and I will be there soon. Devi felt torn at the thought of meeting Ram that day. That's a problem. They hadn't spoken to each other since Kamal had announced that he agreed to consider the engagement. Everything that had been blossoming between them for 5 years, those glances, their secret smiles, their light touches, was it truly all over? What will Ram say about all this? He's not an impulsive person. Are you sure about that? I mean, that romantic scene in his bedroom was telling me something else. And what if it was all in my head and for him it was nothing more than a game? Arat went to fulfill his assignment and Devi trudged to the library. It didn't take her long to find Kamal. He was standing with his back to the door, copying something from a book. The door creaked and he immediately turned around. His expression didn't change when he saw Davy. Okay. To be quite honest, I don't know. Let's go with this one.
You're here.
Can we have a civilized conversation? Damn. Is there time for a conversation in your schedule? I accept your apology. Damn. But to be quite honest, I am having that attitude towards him technically. I accept your apology. I just want to let you know in advance. Maybe you were planning to apologize, but were worried about it.
And what should I apologize for exactly?
Kamal crossed his arms over his chest, raising his eyebrows as if actually waiting for her answer. He seemed deliberately calm, as if he was trying to annoy Davy. Oh, nothing too important. Just a secret conspiracy behind my back, that is all.
The conspiracy? Is that what you call it?
Would you call it something different, considering the fact that you're actually marrying me off without actually talking to me first? Like trying to make me understand why you're agreeing to it in the first place? You are my legal guardian, bitch. You're not my prison guard. You should be talking to me about this. I have to marry him, don't I? He turned his whole body around to face her.
I warned you, remember? I told you that Lord de Clare was going to choose you, and that all the circumstances were pointing to that happening. You thought it could be avoided, but everything happened just as I predicted it. Your uncle's also adding fuel to fire. It won't be possible to avoid the consequences anymore. You saw that I tried to defend you, but the situation became impossible to control. I don't see any point in refusing now, or even any chance for you to do so at all.
Davy smirked bitterly and looked at Kamal skeptically. So instead you decided to help move things along. Why did you give your consent? Why didn't you warn me at least that? The way he spoke so detached was unsettling. The British lord had made Davy an offer that was hard to refuse. He promised her the head of the traitor. What could have he promised to her guardian?
I tried to delay this as much as I could.
Yeah.
But Vidya made it very clear to me that there are no other options.
I did say that it had to come from both. What exactly did Vidya tell you?
Right now your uncle still has a good chance to gain the support of some families in the dozen.
Which is something I don't understand. This bitch has been out of the picture for over 5 years, and now suddenly he's coming and everyone in the dozen apparently is willing to just accept this man just because he's a man. He hasn't done anything to prove that he can actually manage all the work, and we, who have been training our asses off in order to prove ourselves to the entire dozen, still need to prove ourselves. This is ridiculous. At this point, I would literally just incinerate the entire Sharma estate. That's what you can rule now. Nothing. I would disown myself and would go somewhere else, trying to go somewhere and actually work my ass off and then actually getting what I deserve. Because this is ridiculous. We're working our ass off. We actually spent 3 years learning business management just to have our uncle come here, not having done anything in order to actually earn the respect of the dozen, and he just gets it because he's a guy. And the head of the Sharma family needs to be a guy. Like, you can screw yourself.
He's already working on it. You need to make a bold and definite move. You having the British Lord as an ally will scare him away and force him to give up on his plans. You don't actually have to marry him. We just need to get rid of Anil. And then I'll tell you about the rest at a later time. The situation can be turned to your advantage. You won't have to get married.
Kamal doesn't seem like himself. Maybe he is not telling me something, or maybe I just never saw this side of him.
You closed the deal yourself, right? Maybe I was too worried and you're perfectly capable of carrying out Vidya's plan. I'm not the only one who thinks so. Many people have confidence in you now, after you successfully closed the mining deal.
Devi asks thoughtful. And how exactly are you planning to get rid of Anil? My uncle will see that he has no chances, and then what?
Vidya is planning to marry him to Radha. It will be beneficial to both of them.
Why not Radha? Like, Radha is a child compared to him. How much older is this man? 30 years? My uncle? Marrying Radha? She will get rid of him, alright. It won't last a year after the wedding.
What difference does it make what happens to him next? He will stop being a problem. Everything else is none of our business.
But she's pregnant. If Anil realizes that he won't be able to take my place, then marrying Radha and joining the Basu family will seem like a very attractive prospect to him. But Radha is pregnant! Exactly! Could it be that Vidya knows everything? That obvious conclusion came to her quickly. Everything started to make sense. That must be it. Vidya wants to marry Radha to Anil as soon as possible to hide her condition, while also helping me get rid of my rival. So my engagement will affect Radha too? If I refuse this union with the Lord, Anil will not want to marry her and will instead keep trying to get his hands on my inheritance. If people find out about Radha getting pregnant out of wedlock, she will be disgraced, or maybe she will have to leave the city for a while. But why didn't you speak to me right away?
I'm torn, Devi. I have my own work to do. I help you manage your family business, and I also have to deal with this engagement and the dozen.
Sorry for having taken the job of my brother.
I knew you were going to be angry with me because I was also angry at myself. And then I realized I was being overprotective. Do you want to prove to everyone that you don't need anyone's help and you're a force to be reckoned with? Then take part in this plan. Help me think it through. The success of our venture is more important than your freedom or mine or anyone else's. This will affect everyone's fate.
Kamal spoke to Devi honestly as an equal.
Do you really think I would want you to marry a British lord? I would never want that. But if marrying him is our way to freedom without too much bloodshed, we ought to give it a try.
Devi lowered her head disheartened. There was a lot of truth in his words. All that time she had only been concerned about herself, but the fate of many depended on her. I'll go to the Kaligat then. What are you writing?
A letter to Doran.
To Mr. Basu? Why was he invited to Calcutta? What help can he give us?
He knows how to deal with foreigners. In Klipagrami is still known by the nickname they gave him during the uprising.
Which is?
The Executioner.
And why was he called that? An unpleasant guess was already spinning in her head.
Many reasons. If it wasn't for Vidya's shrewdness and connections, the British would have secretly executed him along with the others.
Kamal turned away, not wanting to reveal unnecessary details in earshot of the servants. Devi thought to herself that he and Mr. Basu were probably still friends, since they exchanged letters. Without lingering any further, Devi went to her carriage. As the preparations for the upcoming Durga Puja, a grand festival in honor of the goddess, were in full swing, Devi entered the temple through the garden, not the main entrance. The streets were filled with people and vendors decorating the city and selling items for the upcoming celebration. Flowers for offerings, sweets and special spices, henna and jewelry. As Arat was escorting Devi to the temple, he noticed some nose rings at a vendor's stall.
It's been a while since you wore this type of accessory.
Okay, why is he blushing the entire time? You're right, maybe I should get one?
Point to the one you want. I'll buy it for you.
A ring with gemstones.
Ring with decoration.
Ring with a chain, I feel. It just suits us. Arat nodded, took out some money, and went to haggle with the vendor. Devi had purposely decided to go to the temple after the afternoon service was already over so that she wouldn't have to participate in it. In general, she no longer relied on the gods and she preferred to avoid visiting them. Wow, so she gave up on God. I did say that a horrible moment of events made me lose faith in God. Saraswati was waiting for her sitting on a bench. Oh, she looks so pretty. There you are. Hurry, come here. She got up and took a few steps toward Devi. As soon as Devi was next to her, Sara wrapped her in a long, warm hug. The scent of ripe blackberries and delicate violets enveloped them. I'm so happy to see you. Me too. They settled under the shade of the trees. Did you talk to Kamal? What did he say? Has everything already been decided? He said the same thing as everyone else. I have to accept it and do what's asked of me. And he agrees with this plan. Does he have any other choice? This is a sacrifice for the greater good, inevitable for any woman. My opportunity to gain the upper hand. In a certain sense, it is a sacrifice for the greater good, but it could be my opportunity to gain the upper hand, but at this point, it's a sacrifice for the greater good. If thanks to me we can achieve the dozen's objectives, everyone will benefit from it. I shouldn't only worry about myself, but also about those who depend on me. Did you agree to it? Saraswati asked that question quietly, staring into the distance because she has a crush on us. I had to. Am I imagining things, or do you feel guilty toward me? To some extent. Sara smiled, but her eyes remained sad. We knew this day would come. One of us was destined to get married first. Apparently that's you. Path of passion. In my dreams, we both would send all traditions to meet in Asura and live together. Nice one. Just us two, until we are old. Well, not just us two, of course. We would still have Arat and some servants. Or should we do everything ourselves? You're joking, of course, but I wish something like that could be possible somehow. Uh-oh. Devi and Saraswati were sitting close, only a few inches apart. What I know of love doesn't fit into our roads at all. It's amusing. I come from a family that has been in charge of the local lands for many centuries. And yet here is exactly where I feel out of place the most, like a stranger. Oh my gosh, not the hands. Not the hands. Y'all, I feel so guilty. Sara lowered her hand, reaching out to Devi. Her cheeks blushed slightly, and for the first time she looked so vulnerable. This choice will either open Saraswati's romance path or close it. Y'all, no, I can't do this to Saraswati. I can't do this to Saraswati. I need to stand up. I can't do this to Saraswati. Like I have been playing for so long already. And my first go-through is either Ram or Christian. I'm still not sure which one, but I can't play with Saraswati's heart. No, I can't play with Saraswati's heart. Stand up. Devi stood up, deciding to change the subject. Saraswati followed her with her gaze, almost surprised, but didn't say anything. I can't play with her. I can't play with her. Right now I can only think of one thing. Radha. Does she really have to marry my uncle? Saraswati realized that your friendship is more important to her than flirting. Suddenly loud voices came from nearby. The Kali God's temple dancers were getting ready for the puja. I can't play with her feelings, y'all. No. She deserves so much better. She deserves all the love. And considering the fact that I love to play, I don't want to lead people on. Like, that's the last thing I want. And considering the fact that I'm already starting something with Christian and I already had the thing with Ram, I can't string her along. No. She deserves so much better. Suddenly loud voices came from nearby. The Kali God's temple dancers were getting ready for the puja. Who told you? Kamal. Sara nodded sadly. Yes, Mother thinks this is the perfect plan. She'll give Radha to Anil and you to the British Lord, but you will keep managing your family's affairs. Does she know about the baby? Is that why she's rushing into this? Sarah lowered her head. She knows, and she's so furious. It's probably my fault. What do you have to do with it? Did you tell her? Saraswati vehemently shook her head but answered,
Mother said that the whole dozen is gossiping about it, about the relationship, not the pregnancy. But then, when she saw Radha's mood and Raj's, it wasn't hard for her to put two and two together. When she realized that my sister's period was very late, Mother immediately understood everything. I can't begin to imagine what awaits Raj.
And how is any of this your fault?
Remember our game of dice?
What did you make her do? Great gods.
I know I might be worrying about nothing, but I'm afraid the gossip might reach your uncle.
Dorambazu?
Yes, Mother likes to say that we're similar, but honestly, even I am a little afraid of him. Although I do realize we need his help. He surely knows how to maintain order.
The two young women heard the door of the temple suddenly open. A man appeared on the threshold. Ram DOOBAY, dressed in his ritual robe, looked around the entire garden with a keen gaze. He smirked when he noticed the girls and asked, "Finest man?"
Did Miss Sharma skip the service again?
I regret nothing. I'm here to see Mr. Vaish. Ram nodded approvingly.
Right, is he waiting for you? The engagement has been agreed upon.
Oh, he's mad. Do you have anything to say about that? Devi tried to sound indifferent as she spoke, but Ram could likely see how that topic bothered her.
We all knew this would happen, although we tried to avoid it. But you are one of the few people who can put Vidya's and Raj's plan into action.
He mad, y'all. He mad. He mad.
Whether we'll succeed or not will depend on you. Knowing you, I'm sure we will.
He talks about this as if it's not bothering him at all. On the other hand, Ram is a seer, so he's unlikely to make a big deal out of such things. The gods have a sense of humor. When Saraswati and Ram's eyes met, he immediately said,
Why are you still here?
Ooh!
Where else should I be?
What is going on here? Not the shade.
You know very well that Erit must still be in the temple. You could talk to him.
Sarah sighed slightly, clearly holding back her irritation.
For once in your life, could you stay out of other people's business?
The rate, y'all.
I'd love to, but there's nowhere to escape from your business.
As Sarah prepared to say goodbye, she got up.
At Dubai, alone with a young woman in a temple, that worries me somehow.
Uh-oh. As she approached him, Saraswati couldn't resist poking Ram in the side. He remained in the doorway, arms crossed over his chest, and laughed good-naturedly.
Shall I invite you too next time?
Ram smirked at Devi. They both knew why she had come to the Kalighat. She needed to talk to the Avatar of Order about her headaches. But Ram didn't protest at Sarah's joke, and even shamelessly went along with it. At least I didn't break a friendship. Devi nodded eagerly, smiling. Path of passion. Yes, it would be better with us both. Or maybe 3 at once? Could you handle that, Mr. DOOBAY? Not a suggestion, a threesome, y'all. Not a suggestion, a threesome.
Oh, Devi, that's way too unrealistic as expectation. Some men can't even help one single woman.
Goodbye! I love her! Oh, a good thing that I broke it off. Like, she deserves so much more.
Oh, Devi, that's way too unrealistic an expectation. Some men can't even help one single woman to, release tension.
This woman said he can't make anyone get it up. She said he can't do shit. She said his attitude trash. She can't even help one woman with her pleasures.
And you're expecting him to deal with 3 at once.
Bye. Goodbye. Love it. Ram sighed wearily, not too pleased with how this joke had been turned against him. Period. Saraswati went about her business.
See you later.
Ram led Devi inside. The temple was empty. The worshippers had left after the afternoon service, and the place needed to be tidied up. Temple dances were bustling around the halls, decorating the Kalighat.
Devi Rita Shiva is waiting for us in the private hall. We'll join him shortly. But first,
Ram turned to Devi, pursing his lips.
I want you to be ready for whatever Ratan will say.
You're scaring me. Ram's long fingers touched Devi's hand. He added in a quiet voice.
Let's go to my room for a moment. There's no one here, but still, the Devadasis might overhear us.
All right. Devi just nodded. Ram's hand tightened around hers and he led her away. Incense was slowly burning in the half-light of Ram DOOBAY's room. As soon as Devi entered, a pleasant excitement washed over her. They were alone again. What could Ram possibly want to tell her that was for her ears only? It was clear that there was something slowly growing between them. It had to be leading somewhere. But where, since they both knew that there was no future where they could be together? Devi was about to become Lord Declare's bride. And even without that troubling detail, it was unlikely things would have worked out between them. Your priority legacy. Ram was a DOOBAY, and it was his duty to continue his family name and bloodline. The same burden had fallen on Devi as the head of the Sharma family. I don't give a damn about customs. Oh, for fuck's sake. She was never going to be able to join another family and leave behind her surname. Her task was to strengthen and protect her own legacy. Devi was lost in her thoughts, and in the meantime Ram poured himself some wine. He turned to look at her and noticed her thoughtful gaze.
I bet your thoughts are already going around in circles.
Yes. About what?
I called you here whether we are being sensible.
Devi smirked. Hurry up then, so I won't have to keep wondering. Ram nodded toward the pitcher.
Would you like some wine? Do you drink it all?
Yes. He nodded and poured wine into another cup. We need some wine, y'all, to calm our nerves.
How quickly everything changes, huh? You aren't looking at me with that judgmental stare anymore.
Oh, please. It was the sexual tension making me look at you like I hate you. Maybe I wasn't being judgmental back then, just envious. DOOBAY took a sip, then licking his lips leaned forward. This man is provoking me too much, y'all. He's provoking me too much. He can't be doing this. He can't be doing all of this. Confidently stepping closer to Devi, he quietly asked.
Do you remember how I asked you to be honest with me?
Oh, I definitely remember that.
I'm going to check if you've learned my lesson.
Uh-oh. Devi looked up at him, searching for the joke in his voice. She brought the cup to her lips, hiding behind it, trying to evade Ram's piercing gaze for a moment. The tart taste of the wine calmed Devi down a little, so she decided to speak. Mr. DOOBAY, it seems to me that you've taken upon yourself an unnecessary responsibility. What exactly are you going to check?
On the contrary, Miss Sharma, it's very rare to get a straight answer out of you just by asking. Sometimes one has to go to extreme measures.
Damn! Ram smiled gently and softly caressed Devi's face. His family rings glinted on his fingers.
Tell me, as a woman who believes in love, what's more important to you? We're taught that male energy doesn't exist without female energy, but we're talking about love now. Most of us don't even know what that is, and we'll never know because of our duty toward our family.
Devi was taken aback by the abrupt change of topic, her playful mood suddenly gone. How often do you think about this?
Lately, a lot more than I used to. It's ironic that even with all the knowledge and wisdom of the world at my disposal, I still can't figure this out on my own.
If only this complicated feeling could be understood literally like the goddess' predictions, everything would be much simpler.
We get married to strengthen alliances and prevent wars, not because we fall in love. If a man and a woman are two halves of a single whole, what would you choose? Your duty because people depend on you, or your happiness half because your happiness depends on them?
This choice will influence Ram's decision to continue or end your relationship. I don't need a better half. Why is this the romantic option, y'all? Love first and everything else. My duty comes first. Well, I don't like both of them, so I would have to go with the diamond option. I don't need a better half. Let's see what this is gonna give me. Devi tilted her chin, noticing how Ram raised his eyebrows amused, but she knew what she was talking about. I have everything I need. I can manage on my own. And the first thing I worry about when I wake up in the morning is my family business. I have to make sure everything is fine, both at the mines and with the servants in my home, and that our contributions to the dozen are being received without issues. If I'm doing well, then the dozen is doing well, which means the common people are doing well too. That's what I need. I already have all the necessary halves to be happy. Legacy. Devi finished her wine and then set her cup aside. She could see that Ram was taken aback by her honesty. He probably expected the most obvious answer from her, but Devi thought it was important to tell him the truth.
So you choose duty?
No. Ram laughed again briefly, gently caressing her cheek with a finger as if admiring her.
You've confused me, Rakshasi.
If I were to meet and fall in love with someone who has plenty of everything, intelligence, independence, dignity, and money, then I'll do anything to be with him as long as my heart asks for it. Freedom! Clearly intrigued by her answer, Ram tilted his head to the side and asked,
And what if that's impossible?
Those in charge bend the rules to their will. If the one I choose is my equal, then the two of us will have enough power to change any rule to suit ourselves. Ram liked her words. He touched Devi's arm and then began to gently, almost imperceptibly, pull her toward him.
But you do realize that you will almost certainly become the British Lord's wife, don't you?
She didn't resist, once again letting him draw her close to him, to the warmth of his body, to his lavender and sandalwood scent and his velvety voice. I realized that, and I also realized that you don't seem that bothered by Let him know that he's not really showing much. She wanted to catch him off guard, to ask him if he even cared about her situation. Despite Davy's words, his arm wrapped tightly around her waist.
I shouldn't put words into my mouth.
And why is that? Davy pulled his wrist, trying to pull his hands away from her waist. Since we both realize whose wife I'm about to become, what's the meaning of this? She tried to push Ram away slightly, but instead he just held her closer to himself.
You don't want this?
What exactly?
To see me, to be in each other's company more often.
Is the fact that I'm engaged not bothering you at all?
It's inevitable. I will also get married one day, and I very much doubt it will be for love.
Davy relented, and Ram easily pulled her even closer. Are you talking about us being in a secret relationship?
You can call it as you please. I won't pressure you if you're not ready.
And are you ready for something like this? He says I'm ready to be the side piece, y'all. He says I'm ready to be the side piece. And once I have to get married because out of duty, you will be my side piece too. I'll be the side woman, y'all. Oh my god.
On any other day, I would have said no. It's going to be exhausting, dangerous.
Ram rolled his eyes as if he didn't even like the idea of being in a secret relationship, and then returning his gaze to Davy, he whispered,
But right now I don't think of it that way. Secret, not secret, our circumstances will always be against us. I'm almost 30, and for all my life I've denied myself what I wanted because the greater good was more important. And in all this time, no one has ever been able to enchant me as much as...
I am?
I'm digressing.
Right. I'm ready for this. Be with me, sir. Be with me. Sadly, that's how things go in their society. And technically, we're gonna be Raj and Radha in a secret relationship. Because sadly, in those circumstances and being part of the dozen, you can't be in love, apparently. You only marry because it's beneficial. You don't marry out of love. And everyone seeks love. Everyone seeks love. And considering the fact that they can get it because being part of the dozen already means that you have to go with duty, whether you want to or not. You have to find a way to find your happiness yourself. So being in a secret relationship, if it's necessary, let's go. Maybe. I just don't see any other option. I don't know what the future holds for me. Sometimes it seems like there's nothing good waiting ahead, but I want to enjoy myself here and now. Ram's lips curled into a satisfied smile. He felt Miss Sharma hugging him back. It was hard to believe how much she had changed over the years. That wild girl had grown up and become a confident and thoughtful woman. That attitude captivated him so much more. And in general, watching her become stronger and following her own path had been fascinating to Ram. He finds it attractive that we're a confident and independent woman that fights for what she wants. She has her priorities straight, and she's not willing to make anything lack. She's willing to work her ass off for her family, and she's also willing to pursue her love. That's what's fascinating to him. Nice. It had been interesting to observe her. See? He often looked at her from afar during the very rare services or meetings where Davy appeared. They say he has been watching her from the sidelines, but I did make a small comment about that. Like, there has been a 5-year jump. We don't know what he has been feeling because it hasn't really been explained to us, but it can happen. Like, I can slowly fall in love with someone's attitude. Like, even though I see someone as a child back in the day, the more they grow up, the more I see them becoming more confident in their own skin, them becoming their own person, them becoming strong. I can find that intriguing. I can find that hot. Time changes people, and his thoughts about Davy changed over time. She was busy with her duties, and any free time she had, she spent it with the Bazoo twins, exchanging news. While some of the other dozen heiresses were discussing ordinary things, Miss Sharma was at the mines or on business trips with Kamal. The less often Dubai met her, the stronger his desire to see her grew. See? If she didn't show up when he expected to cross paths with her, Ram would be waiting for another day, another service. This man, completely in love. Oh my god.
So this is what you plan to do with me? Enjoy yourself.
Ram's hand slid up her back. Devya arched her body, pressing herself against him. Let's see if I manage to.
I don't think you'll have a choice.
Davy turned away, laughing softly at his unwavering self-confidence. It was very attractive and an essential part of Ram Dubai's charisma. Oh yeah. He took advantage of the moment, touching his lips to her cheek and burying his nose in her thick, fragrant hair. Like, if Ratan hears us, we're done. When his warm breath touched Davy's ear, she felt so excited that she could barely swallow. Ram being so close to her sent shivers running down her spine. Her body was reaching out to him, yearning for him, boldly demanding for her desires to be satisfied. Oh my god, Ram saw it all in her clouded green eyes, and in every one of her reactions, every one of her touches. Ram moved first, forcing Davy to retreat back step by step until her back hit the wall.
Once again, you're in my trap.
He's the alpha male, y'all. He likes to be in control, thank you. Are you sure that I'm the one trapped between the two of us? He shook his head, leaning toward her.
I'm not sure at all.
He's like, if you're willing to take charge, and I will be glad to be the bottom. Nice one. Ram drank the last of his cup. A drop of wine fell on the corner of his lips. Davy suddenly leaned forward and caught it with a timid kiss. He didn't let her pull away, threw the cup aside unceremoniously and lifted Davy's face by her chin. He didn't say a word because he still hadn't swallowed his wine. Davy understood what he was doing and willingly opened her mouth when Ram pressed his lips against hers. What are we doing? Are we doing that sexual intercourse thing? He made her drink the rest of his wine, and it was hard to say what tasted sweeter, the wine or that deep long kiss which they shared alongside that last sip. Your kiss was very sweet. Your relationship has improved, thank you. The closer Ram was to her, the more Davy wanted him to be. She knew that intimacy could go way far beyond kisses, but nothing of the sort was going to happen in the temple's room. They were also running out of time, and Rata was already waiting for them.
We should stop. Miss Sharma is never satisfied with just a taste, isn't she?
No, I want the whole damn meal. Ram suddenly bit his lip when, instead of a witty reply, Davy silently started kissing his neck, pressing herself against him. And then, as if in retaliation for the previous time, she bit him. He wasn't laughing anymore. The more passionate Davy's caresses became, the less he felt like joking. Nah, this is when desire comes out. Like, we can't stop anymore, it's over. To stop himself from taking things so far, Ram closed his eyes and stepped away from Davy.
Alright, I get it. I'm the one who's trapped, not you.
Love it! What were you saying about Ratan? Bye. Ram caressed Devya's hand gently before pulling her along. You two are now in a secret relationship! Let's go! Oh god. Ram led her to a private hall. Do you really not know what is so important that Mahadeva decided to speak to us? It's been 5 years. My headaches still bother me sometimes, but a lot less.
I don't know. Ratan is very secretive when it comes to anything that concerns you. I only know about the headaches and that they somehow connect us.
Connect us? Oh, stop. like Amrit and Amala? As the two of them entered the room, Devi's gaze fell on the elegant figure of Mahadeva. Ratan was standing in front of a table.
You're here.
He turned to them. Devi bowed.
Assumed the reason for your lateness was a matter of the utmost importance.
Yes. Ram and Devi lowered their gaze. They couldn't hide from the avatar of order. But Ratan didn't say another word about it, leaving any judgment up to their conscience. Maybe he simply considered them sensible enough and believed that they weren't going to cause any trouble. You're gradually earning Ratan's favor. He's less strict with you than he could be. Can't.
We had good reason.
Right.
I doubt it.
Oh God, Ratan. Ram approached the table where a series of figurines were placed. Each symbolized one of the families that made up the dozen. A red tiger, DOOBAY, a purple lioness, Bazu, a blue falcon, Sharma, a golden leopard, Rai, a white tiger, Takua, a green bear, Prasad, and so on.
Things are going to change soon, aren't they? We're on our way to 4 important marriages.
4?
You and Lord Claire, Radha and your uncle Anil, my brother Rash and Amrita.
And the 4th you must be talking about yourself? He did say no, so Kamal, I doubt it. Even though he has been behaving strangely, but that's because he's jealous Saraswati. The full picture was already appearing in her mind, and Saraswati's strange reaction to edit began to make sense.
That's right.
What? Why? Why Saraswati? Era was promised one of the Bazu's sisters, but since Vidya is ready to give Radha to my uncle, it means Saraswati and Erit will get engaged. That's why she was so angry and upset, and that's why she wanted to discuss with him.
I would recommend you to focus on yourself, Devya. The reason for your headache is not a simple nature. It's difficult for me to imagine what feelings a human soul might experience from hearing this news.
Uh-oh. Devi took a step closer, looking into Ratan's eyes.
Mahadeva?
The avatar of order looked at her with an expression that resembled pity. He couldn't have been feeling regret, as he truly didn't know what human usually felt.
Your headaches have been plaguing you for a reason. You're destined to die the night of the fire.
Huh? Ram hurried to correct him.
The British Lord's bride was destined to die, right? And the noble heirs could have been the one.
Devi's blood ran cold. I did say maybe it was that. I did say, like, maybe they killed Rati because it looked like she was us, and Declare wanted only us as his bride. Devi's blood ran cold. Her last conversation with Declare suddenly came to her mind. There was no other noble heiress. He had chosen her.
In theory, but in reality, Ram, do you remember what was the will of Mahadevi Kali?
Ram nodded. Devi had turned to him hesitantly. 5 years ago, what did you see in the ceremonial room? Who did the goddess really point to?
He saw the same thing that the British Lord had written in this letter. One single name. Am I correct?
He didn't want it back then either, y'all.
Yes.
But you lied and let the dozen choose someone else.
Yes.
He didn't want us to be it, y'all. He didn't, even back then. Why? Why didn't you tell everyone that I was supposed to be the bride? Ram sighed heavily.
You had to choose. A life for a life.
He knew that the bride was gonna die. Now I kind of understand what this man is doing. Like, technically, Ram is a Takua, as in he's a seer. He can see the future, which is technically how it's capable for him that nothing escapes his attention. Like, he can actually see the future. And he knew, or maybe he saw, that the wife of the, as in the chosen bride of the British Lord, would die that night. He knew that. So he also knew that if we would be chosen as the wife in front of all of them, that the betrayer, which is part of the dozen, apparently, would have us murdered. So instead of actually saying the will of Christian Declare and saying what Mahadeva Kali wanted, which was us, because she was pointing at us, he said Rati, because he didn't want us to die. He saw that the bride that would be chosen for Christian Declare would die that night of the fire. He knew that that bride would die. So considering the fact that Devi was chosen, if he would have said Devi, we would have died that night. I feel so bad for Ram. So technically he's the murderer of Rati in a certain sense because he saw it. So we were supposed to die that night. I did make some kind of conclusion for that myself. Damn.
I had to choose a life for a life. The British Lord's bride was destined to be you, Devia, and you were also destined to die that night.
Huh? Ram knew that the goddess' finger had pointed to Devi and that she was the one fated to become the Governor General's bride. He also knew that the Lord's bride was not going to survive much longer. That's why he didn't tell the Dozen what he had seen during this ritual in the ceremonial room. Otherwise, Devi would have had no chance of survival. Because the traitor is there. The traitor was there. If the traitor is among the people of the Dozen and he's hiding within the Dozen, then him hearing that Ram is pointing at Devi, they would have killed Devi. So we were supposed to die that night. Nice one. Ram, however, hadn't foreseen the fire, otherwise he would have helped everyone to escape from there.
Yet fate took its due and arranged for the event to take place as originally intended. Despite your attempts, Devi is now preparing to become the Governor General's bride. So this means
we will die now. Fear flashed in Ram's gray and green eyes as the horror of the realization hit him. We will die now. If I can't avoid becoming his bride, then I will die. Oh no, Ram! He tried to protect us back then. And he actually had 2 people die. Our brother died and Rati died because he pointed at Rati. He said that the goddess was also fine with Rati because they all went back to Ram because he's the seer. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. Rati can become the wife too. The goddess has nothing against that. And she was killed. Now, in the present, 5 years later, we're still becoming his bride. We will die. No, poor Ram. Especially now that he's in love. I can't avoid dying either.
yes.
Oh no! Alright, y'all, we will die. It was nice seeing you. It was nice seeing you. Oh my god. Oh god. Okay, we will die. Alright then. What can we do? What can we do? We will die. But it was nice knowing everyone. I'm intrigued to know what next episode is gonna be like. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. Like, this was brutal. Like, history literally repeating itself because we are destined to die. We're still becoming this man's bride. We're still destined to die. Great. And that after Ram decided to be with us. Oh god. Oh god, poor him. Oh god. Oh well, what can I say? I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.